So I wanted to come on and talk a little bit about probably the only thing that really makes me different from others that I encounter on this healing path, on this spiritual journey that we all find ourselves on. And that is in the way that I treat my thoughts and my mind. Mainly, I sorted them. I came up with a way to sort them, meaning that I intentionally assigned archetypes and characters to the specific categories of thoughts. So, for example, when I am having thoughts that are survival-based, hunger-based, fear-based, shelter-based, those kinds of things, the basic biological body needs based, I treat those as the voice of my little critters. And so those thoughts come in and I automatically have a hierarchy for them. I automatically have a level assigned to them as far as priority and need. And it allows all of those thoughts to cluster into one area. And then they're not weather that is just storming and drifting wherever. And I have done this with all of my thoughts, right? So, and this is the beauty of working with archetypes, because they become ways that we can navigate our meaning making in the world around us. We can choose our presentation, how we present ourselves to the world, how we interact and engage with the world, just in how we assign character to the thoughts, right? The character that I assign to them gives them a quality. So if I am sitting and stinking thinking and hearing a self-critic, I assign that a character. And that character isn't one that I always listen to. You know, for example, in this case, this would be like hyena energy to me. And I view hyenas as not the most pleasant animals to be around. So when I encounter hyena thought forms, you know, the ones that are kind of laughing and ridiculing, they lurk and they sneak and they come up behind you and they laugh, but they're vicious and they're undermining and they'll break your bones, right? Which is your foundation, your scaffolding, the structure that you have established to maintain your momentum, your discipline, your ambition. So this is what I have done with my own mind in order to organize the weather, because I understand that my thoughts are not me. Some of my thoughts are collective, meaning that they are tapes and messages that I have heard and picked up through media that I have exposed myself to, you know, the conditioning of growing up with childhood programming that we were raised with, parental, cultural, all of these things, right? I understand that I am more than the sum of my parts. But in doing this with my thoughts, it gives me a way to have a conversation with them, to evaluate their significance, to choose their priority, and then to give them weight in my decisions, right? It's when I assign them a character, right? Treat them as an archetype, a structure arises from that. And I am struggling with the words a little bit because, again, it's kind of hard to put words to things that are ineffable, right? And some of the thoughts that come up and some of the weather, it's not always that easy. But if they are causing me distortion or disturbance, then I absolutely can assign them into an archetype and say, oh, these are my Medusa energies, right? Which means these are coming from a place of my victim state, and not the unvalidated victim state, but these are the voices of where I was harmed, and I have a right and a reason to be upset because they were unjust, right? So that's Medusa energy, but I don't want to live in Medusa energy anymore. Those are states I want to be protective of. So it aligns my choices with, okay, this is the quality of thoughts that are coming up. This is who I see rising. I can have that conversation now as if I was talking to another person. And in having that conversation, because once I've assigned an archetype, I know what the wound is and I know what the strategy is. And then I can just autopilot proceed forward. And it's not autopilot, that was the wrong word. It makes the list of choices that come up in response autopilot, but then I still choose and select how I am going to engage with that. But the something that is me, that is more, is still apart from all of that, is still observing all of that, is still taking in the information as data points and using them to make decisions, right? But anyway, I wanted to come on and just share a little bit of how I organize and work with my own thoughts. If you haven't worked with sign, symbol, or archetype in order to kind of give you that internal scaffolding to approach, what is going on within you, then I would love to open that up for a discussion. And that is part of what we deal with in my school community. So if you haven't checked out my school community, you can find information for that on my YouTube profile and on my Facebook profile. Both are in the bio page. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. Thanks.